Welcome to this EDUcast, New Audio Workplace Technology, Overcoming Challenges, sponsored by Yamaha UC and Telecom Reseller. With me today is Phil Marichal, Vice President of Product Management and Business Development at Yamaha UC, and I'm Gary Auden. And as we always do, we bring up and talk about our agenda for today. As many of you have experienced, the workplace is changing. We're not always working at the office. But we do want to do work, and we want to have the conversations be good and effective. It's all about collaboration, but we have to have the right technology solutions, and we need to discuss where the technology fits into this whole arena. So Phil, let's start off with the first point. How have workplace changes modified the way we work?
Well, thank you, Gary. That's a great question. And let me start out with the fact that Yamaha continues to do market research, and we continue to visit customers, and we're discovering that changes in the workplace are happening from an architectural perspective, from a location perspective, that people are doing more work at the house, people are doing more work in open collaboration spaces, open floors of cubicles, and then people also need to be able to quickly change venues. It used to be that you would just reserve a conference room, but now even conference rooms, there's competition for space in the conference room. So sometimes when you think you have a conference room scheduled and a CEO comes along and says, oh no, I need that for a meeting, you have to be able to quickly change to perhaps an open space in a cafeteria or a desk in the corner of a room. And so even today we see people having to make very flexible, fast, and rapid changes to their collaboration environment, and they need technology that can help them do that. Because your surrounding environment can be unpredictable. You don't know what you're going to be talking to, how, or in what location. So Yamaha is leading that technology concept to provide this unpredictable workspace environment, being able to change your conditions real time, being able to use products that are small, lightweight, so you can do flexible locations and quick placement.
When I think of open offices, I always think there are so many people around me and I keep looking for another room. This reminds me of people just setting up conference calls on their phones. They don't know where, when, or how they're going to do this, right?
Exactly, but the problem is that a phone is not designed to have 3 or 4 or 5 participants. It doesn't have multiple microphones. It doesn't have the ability to gate and open and close microphones for a group of people, even around a small table. But Yamaha makes phones that are very portable. They're powered by USB. They can support with multiple microphones, multiple participants in a small group meeting. And now with the new technology improvements that we're going to talk about today, they can even work in open spaces.
I'm one of those people that works remotely all the time. But when we have the conversation, especially from my home, we need voice quality, we need efficiency, and we need to foster participation. What do you mean by capture the conversation?
To capture a conversation, technology has to be able to take audio from a room, echo cancel it, reduce reverberation, perhaps make technology that can increase the volume for people that speak very softly, or decrease the volume for people that are speaking very loudly, so that you have an even level conversation on the other side of the phone or to participants in other rooms. In order to do this, focusing on the conversation means you really want distracting noises possibly taken out. The human ear and the human mind is very good at doing that, but sometimes those distractions get picked up by technology and sent to the far end. The good news is that we actually have technology now that we're bringing out that can reduce that chatter in the background, or even if you're home like I am right now, noise coming from another room inside my house can be reduced as well. So we all have clear conversation, we all have crystal clear audio, and we have technology working to improve that experience by being able to dynamically adapt the environment so that all you hear is pure conversation and not noise plus conversation.
We have lots of challenges for successful collaboration. Would you discuss some of those challenges for us?
Well, of course, and I think that We all are aware of these things, but we're not attuned to the fact that technology can do a much better job today. Working remotely, perhaps out of a hotel room or in a small conference room, collaboration over distance, even when you're collaborating overseas, the better that you can improve the quality of the audio, understanding people with foreign accents, being able to work in any environment. They might be doing construction work in your building. You might find yourself in a conference room you've never been before. All of these mean that the equipment has to be highly adaptable, whether it's a glass room or whether it's a very quiet room, whether it's a giant auditorium or if it's a small just cubicle space. Yamaha is building technology that is the best in the industry for adapting to all these different types of environments and allowing you to have a great conversation without even thinking about the kind of room that you're in anymore, and doing it very quickly and efficiently. The systems are also great at what we call auto tuning, which means it looks at the room from an acoustic perspective and adjusts itself dynamically to be able to support all these different conditions. But the good news is we don't want you worrying about the locations or worried about the background noise. We just want you to have a great conversation and have a great experience.
This technology helps us feel like we're in the same room with the other person without any noise. Is that it?
It improves it. It actually helps a great deal, but like any technology, it can be overwhelmed. So I'm not going to say that it's perfect, but having seen demos of it, and for example, we did demos on a trade show floor, which is possibly the worst. Trade show floors are full of noise and people, and there's more background noise than there is in two people talking to each other. And even then, we found that it greatly improved the communications experience. So while you would still hear a little murmuring in the background, it certainly wasn't the same as you would normally even hear as a person in a trade show floor, where you'd hear all these conversations around you, all this clatter and chatter. So it's really remarkable how good this technology is getting at just focusing on human voice activity detection.
You mentioned the word sound cap on this slide. What is it and what is its value?
So sound cap is a new technology that we're bringing out, and the first product that has it is the Yamaha YVC330. It is a technology that opens up a microphone and it listens to both sounds that are in nearby as well as sounds that are further away. And by mathematical calculation, regardless of the room environment, it can subtract sound from a further distance, let's say 3-4 meters away. So the sound that's outside of this dome or cap is actually reduced significantly. So in this picture, you see 3 people talking in an open environment. There's people in the background, there's a printer, there's a person on a computer. They're all talking and having activity. But that noise and that activity outside the dome of sound that sound cap is capturing is greatly diminished. So you can actually have a much clearer conversation without the distracting noises that speakerphones today pick up, because speakerphones today listen to everything. SoundCap is one of the few companies and first technologies in the world that actually gives you kind of a dome of audio capture, an area that you want to contain the information sound in and ignore all the information and sound outside of that area.
Listening to SoundCap, it sounds like you've created intelligence around the microphone and speaker that's like a human brain. Is that correct?
Your brain does it in a slightly different way because you have a tendency to bar distracting noises and focus and concentrate on what is being said. And so it's true that the human voice has voice activity detection. What SoundCap does is actually even a little better than your brain, because SoundCap actually closes off that space entirely. So I'll give you an example. Let's say you and I are like these 2 people having a conversation live VC330, and somebody further out yells. Well, the human ear might hear that sound and say, oh, that's a human voice yelling at me from across the room. You might stop, turn, listen, and see what they're saying. SoundCap actually distinguishes that sound as well and would turn it down so that the far end would not hear that sound. Of course, you in the room would still hear it. So it even does something different than the human brain in the sense that it tries to greatly reduce all sound and noise information outside of an area.
In the next slide, We mentioned human voice activity detection. What is it and how does it support the conversations?
Human voice activity detection is a technology that's been developed that basically looks at different kinds of waveforms. Now, when you study sound, human voices work in a certain frequency range, and it's a pretty narrow range. And they also have waveforms that have a kind of pattern to them. So human voice activity detection recognizes those patterns and can enhance that area of sound information. And then, because it knows what a human voice is, it can subtract other information, clicking of keyboards, background noises you may not want to hear in the conversation. So HVAD is one of the technologies that Yamaha has developed that actually focuses on a range of human hearing, of voices talking, and then actually can use that to subtract other information.
I've been in conferences where I hear some people very well and others not well at all. How does auto volume work?
So as sound comes into our DSP speakerphones, and by the way, Yamaha actually is one of the few companies that actually builds DSPs just for audio. So we actually have our own sound chips inside of our technology that allow us to optimize and improve performance. One of these things it can do is it can measure loudness, apparent loudness. So some people speaking very loudly and other people speaking very softly, it can level out those sounds. So think of like a person in a band, and he's running a mixer board for the band. He might increase the bass guitarist, he might decrease the vocalist, as he's trying to balance the sound during a concert or performance. Because Yamaha's experts in sound processing, audio, music, are able to take that technology and put it into the speakerphone in a way that it can actually kind of even out the volume of different people, so the sound is more consistent at a certain volume level, so it's a more pleasing conversation for everybody.
What is the YVC330 product and how does it support SoundCap?
So the YVC330 is the next generation small speakerphone from Yamaha based on YVC300 technology. The difference is there's two buttons that you press in sequence, and those enable the SoundCap feature. So the system will then start putting all the audio information only inside a certain area as being processed, and distracting noises outside of that region are now reduced for the far end listener. So the YVC330 is our next generation technology, and it's really amazing because Yamaha has put so much technology into a small box. Nobody in the industry has ever been able to do this before. Usually to even try to accomplish that, you'd have to put microphones all over a room, you'd have to use very expensive processing equipment. But Yamaha's managed to put that all in a tiny little package with a specialized chip that does it. So it's really remarkable that such a small box can do all the sophisticated audio processing and simply gets powered by a USB cable.
Would you provide some insights on the features that the YVC330 has?
Certainly. So as a high quality USB powered speakerphone, it works with any application, whether it's Zoom or BlueJeans or Microsoft Teams or Skype or GoToMeeting, which is what we're using right now. It's independent of the software app that you're using. You use a simple audio in and out connection interfaces. So USB is supported. You can actually daisy chain two of these things together. And since it's powered by USB, no external AC adapter is required. Some speakerphones are bigger, but they require a special power adapter, which means you have to bring power to the table, and they're not very portable. SoundCap technology is included with it, and it also has Bluetooth and NFC connection. So if you want to use your Bluetooth phone or an NFC phone, you can audio bridge into a meeting from the phone with the YVC330.
I'd like to mention that there are good SoundCap resources. There's also a webinar that's available that goes into this information with more depth. If you're interested, it's ucyamaha.com for more information. And I'd like to thank you, Phil, for the insightful EDUcast we've just recorded.
Thank you very much. I appreciate the time, and I hope everybody can get to experience the YVC 330 and the new technology that will bring even better remote speakerphone conversations into all your meetings.